pretty much when we wrap up with this one amendment.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission meeting. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director for the City of Kingston. Today is December 9th, 2025. And we are just have a couple quick announcements first, and then we'll jump right into the agenda items. If you have your cell phone, can you please put it on silent so that it does not interfere with the meeting? If you do need to have a conversation outside of one with the tree commission, we just ask that you take it outside of the room. The chambers are available, and I really don't know if conference room 1 is free or not, but if that is open, you're welcome to use that. Bathrooms are right outside in this hallway. Women's is the first on your right. Men's is past the stairs on your right. If we do have an emergency, we need to evacuate, we just ask that you please use the stairs and not the elevator. If you need assistance, you can ask us and we'll help you. That said, we are being live streamed and we are being recorded, so I want everyone to be aware of that. And with that, we're just going to start the meeting at 4:07 p.m. And the first item on the agenda is just to go around and introduce all of the commission members. So Vince, I'm going to ask you to start.
Tree Commission member.
Elizabeth Collins, Tree Commission member and representative for the Memorial Tree Fund.
Candidate Tree Commission member.
Brad Member, Urban Forest of the City of Kingston.
Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the commission approval of the November 18th, 2025 meeting minutes. I know that they had been mailed out by Brent to all commission members. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? Are there any questions? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve. Okay, motion from Vince. Is there a second? Second from Kareem. Any question? All in favor? Aye. Okay, approved. With that, we have 2 reviews to take up tonight. Well, we're going to start with 92 Andrew because both Keith Phillips from the engineering and the owner of the property are here. Keith, do you want to just, you have anything to say about it, or do you want to?
Oh, just a quick summary. Each year we try to upgrade a certain amount of ramps to the current ADA standards. And we try to match our new ramps upgrade to future or current paving that is possibly in the future. This one here happens to be one of the worst ones on Andrew, so we would like to correct that. But in order to do that, we basically need to remove the tree. I have spoke with the property owner who is with us today, and he's okay with having that tree removed. And he's also okay with us choosing, maybe working with him, choosing a different species that we can locate in his lawn. But we would just have to be careful of any utilities. I know his new gas line is past the second tree, but I do not know where his water and sewer are.
Do you have a sense of where your laterals for water and sewer are?
Somewhat. Yeah, we haven't gotten it like formally surveyed or.
Like, do they come out? Do they come out to Andrew, or do they come out to the side street? Do you?
I believe they come out to Andrew. Not us. They do come out to Andrew. Okay. For everyone's help, I'll bring up your own Google, and yeah, I found it's easier to Google wants to make it 96. Okay, so this here is the faded yellow line for the old gas line. And I think if we look at this view here, you can see more where the gas line was relocated to this section over here to the left of the driveway. And then going back to 2012, I think this is where we, oh, I might be mistaken here, but, so this paving patch, that's where the gas line was relocated towards. And I believe that, Keith, I feel like, do you recall, I feel like we looked into this and that the water line was also over in this area.
It was inconclusive. We couldn't,
I see.
but as the property owner, if you enter your basement, you can usually see where it's penetrating through the foundation and the direction.
Okay, I will circle back with this group just to double confirm
Yeah.
on that. I think it's out to Andrew Street. I'd be shocked if it wasn't, but I will take that one.
Do you know if it's on the left or the right?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yeah, well, we'll find out. Either way.
okay.
We wouldn't plant a replacement tree on top of a water service line or a gas service line.
Very reasonable.
Yeah. So anyway, just so the commission can see more of the tree's condition, quality would be better here. Some past pruning cuts of, stub cut forms have led to this like very, like right angle shaped markings on the tree. I'm going to pull up some photos that I took, and this is, after the snow and everything, so it might be a little bit more easier to see that the tree does have like some complications with form that would be hard to resolve from like pruning. Really the main issue here though is that the root area where the sidewalk and the tree meets. This area has a lot of basal rot that goes into the tree. I got at least like, I want to say 8 inches in with my probe to there. And then to go back to the view of the sidewalk, what the challenge is that in order to have a curb ramp here that meets the maximum grade allowances for ADA slope, not more than 5%.
Well, the first 4 feet has to be no more than 1.5%.
Got it.
So you see how far back that already puts us.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, the maximum slope is 7.5.
Okay.
But even with that, I still have to down to get the base.
Right.
And
So this buckling that's happening right here that I just circled in red, and the overall like ramping direction is really the conflict here that there's not a way to resolve it and retain the support root system that effectively is what keeps the tree from falling over in this way.
So as part of your sidewalk, the state CHIPS funds will also pay for the removal of the tree.
yeah, so I
Is that in
double.
this instance, right?
Right.
And
So
then,
I talked to Giselle from the DOT,
Right.
and they said as long as the removal and the installation of a new one are part of a CHIPS eligible project,
Okay.
they will cover that.
what about any reconstruction of the catch basins?
Yes, we can do that too.
So that's all included in what you're going to be doing.
Yes,
Okay.
because this past summer,
Mhm.
the DPW had to rebuild that catch basin, and they actually needed a chainsaw to cut the roots out of that structure, and they had to rebuild the brick walls.
So that one's done.
So that one it's mostly done.
Okay.
I may have to make some adjustments
Okay.
as we go
All
along.
right. And there's a second tree that wouldn't be eligible down. You were interested in whether or not that one could get removed?
Yeah, so maybe 15 feet up from this
Mhm.
street here, there's another, I think it's a maple, in not great shape. And I will say, and Keith, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it really impairs the sight line of that stop sign there. So if you're coming down and you're not familiar with Andrew Street, you know, I see maybe 1 in 20 cars just blast right through that stop sign. So if our end goal, you know, is safety and accessibility, especially by the school, you know, maybe it's a conversation worth having on what we could do about that second tree as well.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not in the, I'm not an expert, but I do know it's definitely probably not in the best of shape.
Yeah, so review for the commission right now is just
Just the
for
one?
this tree.
Okay.
But just to show the stop sign has, this is a pretty common
Reset, yeah.
modification that we do to increase the site visibility. It still requires drivers to be looking at intersections and stop signs to
Yeah.
them, and then make the lawful decision to come to a stop at a stop sign intersection.
That's right.
So if, you know, if we wanted to talk about the second tree here, that would not be part of this project.
Okay.
And so, talking about, if you are interested in doing a removal of it, then, you know, we'd look for a permit application and that's
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I think you're, you know, if it looks like co-funding that or whatever, while we have a crew
Yeah,
out there, you know, could we make something work out?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Some potential for that. I'm happy to keep talking
Cool.
with you about it.
Sweet. We can focus on the one for now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, Sam.
of course.
Are you adding crosswalks as part of your project?
Well, this would continue on as it is. I'm not sure.
But not across Andrew, you would be painting as striping, that's what I'm asking. Are you gonna be striping the crosswalk across the side street, or is there a crosswalk? I mean, it looks like there's remnants of one there.
Yeah,
It,
I've talked with Ryan about the one that crosses Andrews.
uh-huh,
And it sounds like they keep striping it in, but there's really no legal ADA ramp to accept them.
okay,
uh,
on the other side,
on the other side.
okay,
And talking with the DPW right now, I believe they just wanted to go across Trenton
okay,
and not across Andrew. But I can confirm with Ryan and Ed.
okay,
So here's where the crosswalk on Trenton currently is. There is, you know, the remnants here, and then this would be driveway apron, and I can't remember, Pete, is this what it looks like over there now? This is like.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Okay,
So it's not a proper ADA ramp, or
mm-hmm,
it's not properly accepting them in either direction. If you go back in the other direction, basically leads into its tree.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Just,
any questions from the commission?
so the tree structure, you said like it's kind of like unbalanced, and you said like there's some kind of rotten evidence in the base.
Yes,
So you think it's not like structurally sound?
yes. Yeah, ultimately, it is kind of what I'm seeing. Either way, the tree in its current condition, it does have rotting in the basal area, which, you know, is a conflict as far as like the tree's ability to hold itself upright over there. Rot does not necessarily make a tree any stronger or weaker than a tree that doesn't have rot. But it is something that would, you know, if that was the only reason to consider what's going on for removal of this tree, then yeah, we would want to probe a little bit more into how much decay is going on there. But ultimately, it's more so that the buttress root that has this taper to it over here, yeah, just effectively no way to, you know, in other situations, we have that we raise the sidewalk up over the root system.
But I remember like
Go ahead.
at one point, you know, like we kind of like kind of moved away the sidewalk, you know, to kind of like avoid this bump and give more space.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Pull it around.
Yeah, we did this, you know, at one point,
Mhm.
like near the green.
Right, we did it at the, on St. James.
Yeah.
Mm,
And,
right.
So I was just wondering if it's something you have considered because this way like
I would
I mean, if
agree
it's
with that, with the exception that these routes are also interfering with the stormwater system on the street, which is, you just can't get away from that. And, yeah, it's unfortunate. The tree's been cut over the years.
The chainsawing for the storm drain that happened over in this section here that I'm circling.
Right.
That you said that happened last year, Keith?
No, this past summer.
Okay, this past summer. So there hasn't been enough reaction time for the tree to see what the effects of losing that part of its root system is.
That's what I was wondering. It
Yeah.
sounds like they've already cut a bunch of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging. The opportunity of a replacement tree going in with this larger soil volume area, and this is just approximate. It's not like the only possible location, but means that there's still total capability to bring in a new tree that wouldn't have these limitations of limited green space with the storm drains immediately around it. I wonder if in an attempt to retain it, if we then see next year that, and I'm always interested in, checking conservation before condemnation with trees and knowing that root systems have had damage to them, but what might happen to the tree next year? When would you expect to remove the tree?
I got probably before March of next year, we want to hit that Indiana bat timeframe.
Yeah.
So it could happen real fast or.
Okay, so there would be another growing season to see what happens to the tree. Your timeline for this is much shorter than that.
Yeah.
And it has to be, they have to be out by March 31st. Your work has to be done for the northern bat.
Right.
Okay, but checking for questions here from the commission members.
I would just like to add too, so the property owner's property line is about 18 inches off of the back of the sidewalk. So if I were to move it over, I would probably have to take some of his property.
Gotcha. It is there's a vision for a lovely native wildflower. Let's see if that sways
Yeah.
this.
And you are receptive for having a shade tree go in on your property.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it's site appropriate and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Totally, definitely want to work with both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be conscious of the times, we're at 4:25. I'm checking with commission members to see any other questions, or are we ready to start? Go ahead. Yes.
Is that a bluestone sidewalk or is that a concrete?
Concrete, yeah.
So,
But at any rate, to accomplish what they want to do with the ADA ramp on the curb, that tree would have, I don't think it would be feasible to move around the tree, even regardless of the space, 18 inches or whatever.
There would be, it would be very limited.
Sure.
There's a potential conflict of if we try to, wiggle the sidewalk around. I guess kind of thinking about it of that would be, there's some logistic stuff on that side of things. It's kind of unknown right now what to expect for how much more time we could give this tree. And if we're then trading some possibility of giving that tree more time versus allowing a new tree to start growing earlier than when this tree might come true as well. Yeah.
So is the curbing being pushed out on the street side by the roots system?
It's hard
Is
to
that
see.
like right now?
Curbing looks like it's grown over.
What's going on?
Yeah, there's
The root
there's some
looks like it's covered.
growing just kind of, like what we see when trees outgrow the planting strip space, where they just kind of grow mass, like wall of roots over the curving. And all that would just get, like, if you vote to approve removal of the tree, all that would be removed in the process too. We just, even though I just said, we want to be conscientious of time. The other thing that we did here was, Keith and I, we did look a little bit at if there's potential to do like a bulb out design for the sidewalk area. Effectively shaping it like this, that then the ramping could go over a much longer grade. The side street here, even though there are cars parked on it, it's only the width of 2 traffic lanes. So this bulb out would block a traffic lane also. So we really tried. Yeah.
In addition to that, there's another catch basin structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So I would have a lot of issues with drainage too.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. Would anyone like to put forth a motion?
Make a motion that we allow the removal of this tree in order to make it an ADA accessible sidewalk with all the standard conditions for the tree removal.
Yeah, and that includes
And
the,
including the ability to plant a new tree in the lot.
yeah, with me working with the
Yeah.
property owner to make sure that that tree meets your needs as well. Yeah. Okay, so do we have a second for that? That's. Any other discussion? Okay.
All in favor? Good, good. We need to vote.
Sorry, trying to track time and make notes at the same moment. Thanks for catching that, Sue. Okay, so that wraps up 94 Andrew Street for this degree.
So you two are going to exchange information?
Yeah. Could I give you some already? Did you get one of those to someone? Yeah, great, thanks. Great, okay, we're gonna move on from there.
Awesome. Thank you all very much for letting me fresh support you.
Absolutely.
It's good and we'll be in touch.
Okay, so the other one on the permitting reviews is 635 Broadway. That one, that was tabled from our last meeting. Some of you weren't here for the last one, so in the review materials, you got to see there, it was unauthorized pruning that came from a miscommunication between the property owner and the grounds worker from a language barrier. I was able to speak with both the property owner and the grounds worker to confirm that that was the case. Last month, it was decided the commission be tabled it until the pruning work was able to be done. I've been in communication with the property owner. So he said that he hired, canceled, not even just rescheduled, just completely canceled. So he's working to find a new tree service to get the work done. So we will not review it tonight, even though it was on the agenda. Because that review is pending, pruning work being done after. So we'll check back in January.
Did you talk about the property though, that he wanted to, one of the things that he wanted to do was he wanted to prune trees on city property. And the commission had said yes, but wanted to look for properties within close proximity to where he had done work, unauthorized work. He was proposing to do city property down in the Rondo, adjacent to his other property that he owned. So it was more self-serving, in my opinion, and then really looking at, doing something to remedy what he had done incorrectly. And I would like to just reinforce that if he is looking to get out of doing a violation fee, that he look in that immediate neighborhood where that unauthorized work occurred.
Makes sense.
And there's stuff along the rail trail there. There's stuff, there's a couple of small parks in Midtown that he could probably maybe take a look at with Brent. And I'd rather see that.
Yeah, because I think the property he was looking at on Beale Street, I don't think it's city property.
We were looking at a slightly different spot and I want to make sure that we get the right one. So he's not interested in doing tree pruning at other spots, just general like maintenance and cleanup kind of thing. So he was interested in doing that work at the city-owned parking lot here on Beale Street.
On that side, okay.
Yeah, for cleanup, not the other side.
Oh.
I showed the wrong area at our last meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Where I was originally saying it was this area over here that borders the park. Yeah, the area that he was interested in is this one right here. Just for general cleanup, kind of like public service stuff, in lieu of a possible fine that the commission might be interested in doing after review of the completed restorative pruning work, which he is more than happy to do. And yeah, the tree service canceled, so he's still working.
But this is adjacent, he owns the adjacent property.
Yeah.
He owns property up behind it, so
Yeah,
it's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice of you to offer, but it's not really a
so
equal tree.
Yeah, and I think it's for the commission maybe to
Yes.
exchange in a minute.
exactly. Okay, so we'll touch back in on this in January. And with that, the next thing on our agenda is the tree commission training review. So I'm going to go back to our treeboardu.org site. And go back through to the sections that we were going to review. And I believe we were going to do the introduction and the first chapter of chapter 2. That's sound right? I think anyone remind me on this?
Me.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty, yeah.
And you said something about going over a list of things at the end.
Yeah. So from chapter 1, there is kind of like a board assessment survey sort of thing. It's 60 questions long, so I wanted to just hold off on that until January. They're all yes/no questions. It's not like, please write a 3-paragraph essay in response to this kind of deal. But for the sake of these materials, so the introduction on chapter 2 gets into partnerships.
Just what might be an interesting exercise is that it is, this is these are the questions. And it might be interesting to have each of the commission members beat this on your own, get it back to Brent in time, have him go through your answers since they're mostly yes or no. And when you say where it says like, do all board members, just say, do you as a board member understand the liabilities and legal responsibility? Just put it in your own, like as you, and answer for yourself. And then Brent, if you would take those responses and put them into a table, and then we can look at them as a group, how, and how everybody's responses kind of are they consistent? Are they all over the place? I think that would be a great way to do this portion of it, but do it individually and then look at it as a group. So that would be my suggestion in terms of what you could do in preparation for January.
Completely read my mind. That was what I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Just doing the questionnaire on your free times, writing me the answers, and like Sue said, then no one's put on the spot in the meeting around like, do you feel comfortable answering yes or no? And then we can show the information without, it's not saying like Finn said this, Tebby said this, Corinne said this, but we can kind of look at it as a group hopefully in January, all 7 of us can meet up to go over this together. Just to kind of check in on time stuff here. So the 2 things that we were going to go over for the second part of the meeting was this tree commission training review and the Flatbush Foxhall Street project. Does it feel like a priority to you all to first, to just from here, pause on the Tree Board University stuff and go into the Flatbush Foxhall project?
I think so because of the meetings that way.
Yeah, so we got that meeting in about 30 minutes from now. Which none of you are required to go to it. Sue and I are going to be there, but so Vincent, that's something?
There was a presentation that somebody from the city talked about at one of the meetings a year or so ago.
A while ago, yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2021. I think
Oh,
was the
okay.
last time that presentation happened. So
But, they talked about what their intent was and what they were going to do, and
yeah.
that was, the Flatbush and the corner of Foxhole. Now, I'm not sure how far up Foxhole.
Yeah. So
Foxhole's all the way pretty much to, it's Foxhole from Broadway to Flatbush intersection.
yeah.
Then up Flatbush, across the railroad tracks, and that's kind of where it kind of stopped.
That's what I got.
I think that area there that we're talking about seems to be a lot of foot traffic going up and down that area.
Mhm.
So from a safety point of view, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we're going to switch gears into Flatbush Foxhall officially. We'll come back to Tree Board University.
What about the trees along
Yeah.
that lower,
So
from the tracks to Foxhole?
what I think might be the best thing to do, so I've given you all ahead of this the list. So GPI, the engineering firm that's doing a lot of the work contracted by the city of Kingston, they're very zoomed out right now, but we have the ability to zoom in. This is the entirety of the project. This was the latest version that I was able to get from our engineering department. There may be differences between this and what is going to be shown in the public information meeting at 5 o'clock. So what you got before this meeting was a list of the trees that GPI has said are not able to be retained with this current layout. And with that list of trees, I also gave you my condition evaluation of those trees as well. Pretty much, so it's 8 total trees is what they would like to remove. There are 15 trees that currently exist that are not marked to be removed. And right now, they expect to plant 40 trees with this project. And what might make the most sense for our time is I have Google Maps set up to basically kind of go from where Foxhall starts at Broadway in line with the plans, and we can follow the plans and then double check on Street View. So that way we can see, and I can give more information about the 8 trees. Some things that I think are also useful points of information for everyone to have here is that this project is 1.3 miles of total street that would be renovated. This is a very large budget project, and $4.3 million in grant funds for this project, which is not the total funding source for this project, it's only part of it, comes from the New York State Green Resiliency Grant. So this is grant funding that is specifically for green resiliency projects, such as stormwater, green space, that sort of thing. So $4.3 million for that purpose. They are wanting to remove 8 trees and plant 40 trees. They've also said that some bioswales, which are marked on these plans as well, are included in that. So keep this in your perspectives when we're looking at this around the total amount of money we've received for green resiliency projects and what we're seeing those green resiliency elements looking like on these plans. So I'm going to zoom in for this first item here. There's going to be 4 total. So this in the top left is Foxhall and Broadway. And then it's going to be Foxhall continuing northwest. And sorry for the slow company. Foxhall, the last section where it gets to the intersection with Flatbush, over to the right here where my cursor is, that's Albany Ave. And then the last section is from basically that near intersection point for Foxhall and Flatbush to Colonial Gardens. This project will add a lot of additional sidewalks that currently don't exist for a large population of Kingston residents who don't have the ability to safely travel as pedestrians to get to other resources that are on Albany. Okay, so I think that's enough setup. I'm going to zoom in here and I'm praying that my computer loads everything live. So top corner over here, this first block, maybe this is a good enough view for it. So the little green dots, that is the marking for trees that are going to be retained. There will also be white dots that I'll point out, and those are trees to be added. I've noticed there's some variation between the list that GPI gave to us that I sent to you all for trees that they intend to remove with this project. But I will call those out as we go past them. So this first block, no trees added, 11-foot wide travel lanes, so that'd be a reduction in the width of the current road lanes. And then go back over to the maps. So that's this block. And when they're talking about trees that are going to be retained, it's these ones. These trees are also on private property. These are not in the City of Kingston public right of way.
So how come they aren't looking at adding trees in this section here?
Yeah, let's go back to that section. Sorry, it jumped a lot further forward than what I was hoping. And my computer is doing some sweating and heavy breathing, keeping up with it. So yeah, they have not done any markings for trees to be added to this section or over to here.
Well, I can understand the other side where there's parking, but
Right.
I'm kind of a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no.
confused why they're not looking at the other side. There's great opportunity and they have green space there.
Yeah, exactly. So the planting strip is still outlined here. I don't see any change in the width of it. So I think it continues to be a 3-foot wide planting strip. Yeah, I'm gonna agree.
Do you say like, is it gonna reduce the width of the street?
Yeah, so the traffic lane, the car traffic lane is gonna go, right now I'd say this is probably about 16 feet from the double yellow to the curb edge. They'll basically just be adding a painted line that will make it 11 feet wide, and then I believe a 4-foot wide white line to the curb edge and the planting strip. So they're effectively narrowing the lane by painting it to a skinnier size that then puts a buffer over here. In some of
There's
this,
the white line,
For the bicycle?
is that defined? That's not,
they're not,
it's
these
not
plans don't
listed as a
call it,
bike line.
these plans do not call it a bike lane, but it is a 4-foot wide painted area. So it's worth checking in the meeting at 5 o'clock. is this supposed to be a bike lane? Is this a shoulder? What is the purpose of that shoulder? Think about like Wall Street and Lucas Ave where the painting recently happened, and they are skinnier lanes with no shoulder to them because smaller total width of the street, but they kept parking on one side of it. This is not parking, this is just painting for a narrower street lane. The property owner who was here, Sam, he's on the Complete Streets committee, and I'm not sure what Complete Streets has weighed in on these designs, but maybe we keep the focus to trees for the sake of time.
Right now, the action was like, if they would create more like asphalt for the street, then they can expand,
Yeah.
like the planting beds and something.
That is a potential. So like if this is only supposed to be a shoulder,
Why not?
right,
Yeah.
what is the decision being made
Yeah.
for this particular block?
Yeah, because it's a
Yeah.
really good spot, like because utilities on the other side.
I mean, it seems nutty to say we're gonna narrow the street, but you're not really doing anything except painting lines.
Yeah, unless it's supposed to be a bike lane. So I think
Unless it's.
that could be some clarity that we could find out about. I want to move on to the next block, which goes from Hasbrook Ave to Prince Street. So are we able to see here that these green trees are the ones that these plans mark to be retained? That is not accurate based off of the GPI list. So I'm going to mark this tree here, they intend to remove. This tree here, they also intend to remove. And now I'm going to go over to the Google Street View to look at those trees on this map. And these are the ones that they are included, and I see my markings are still on the screen, but
And they're being removed, why?
yes, so let me clean that up. And all right, so this first one that we're going to look at here, that one, the reason marked for removal is condition of the tree. This is very accurate to what it looks like now, even though this is a little bit older. I would suspect that this tree has so much dead branches in it due to the paving project that happened in the last couple of years that probably did not preserve its root system. Again, are we designing our streets and sidewalks in ways that then lead to our trees to decline? So going back to
So all those pavers are gonna be ripped out and green space put in?
yeah, so where it's dark green, that's where they have marked this as grass area for these plants. And so that first tree that's at the corner of the restaurant and stuff that's over here that I just showed with the dead branches, that's the one where my cursor is. And then that tree, I say it's a Norway maple, it's in pretty severe decline. Going back on the other side, this one over here, this is a silver maple. I noted its condition as fair. So usually tree conditions we do in like a 5-point system. Fair would be somewhere like lower than average, better than poor, kind of thinking about it that way. This tree has some decay from it being topped, which is kind of hard to see in this particular view. And also decay down at the trunk base, probably just from various points of damage from limited growing space and vehicles, mowers, and all that sort of thing. So GPI has marked for this one for removal. Going back to the plans, right now they say that these two trees on these plans are for retaining. That does not match with the list they've given us. They haven't said that they haven't specified where any of those 40 trees they intend to add for this project would go. I'm going to keep moving down here. You can see no other trees exist. This little green dot here that's marked as a tree, there was no tree there. So I'm not sure what that is in reference to. I do see very large grass green spaces being added that may very well provide a larger amount of soil volume for trees to be planted.
Was there a tree wall there before or no?
Let me go and show you in the street view. So,
Is that what the green spot would identify?
it's for this house right here. So here's the stump
Yeah.
where the tree
That's,
was.
maybe that's what they're gonna
That could be
remove.
that.
No?
Yeah. They did not, in their list of trees to be removed, mention the stump. Also, I am pretty sure the stump is no longer here either.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any remnant of the tree left, so they may have been going off of older data, for doing that design plan. Because remember, like these, some aspects of this idea started in 2021.
So where there's handicap, like, just go back, there's a handicap parking space there.
Yeah.
Are those types of things being preserved in the new, because I don't see any designation
I do not
on the
know.
new plans, but I mean, obviously that space was put there maybe for an individual in that home,
Right.
and that should be retained into the new plan set. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would fall less in the tree commission space and more of things to find out in this meeting later. Or that engineering is hosting later. So the next block, as we continue to go northwest from Prince Street, this is where they start marking trees that are being added in addition to some trees being retained. So I'm going to switch over to the Google Street View. And there's construction. And so it switches, I believe to, yeah, an older view here. So this tree, they intend to retain. The next couple of blocks, no trees are marked for removal. So we're looking at the trees that are currently here that they're going to retain. And I'll kind of show, as far as like being conscientious of time, some of these new things. The brown boxes around them, these plans list as tree pits. I don't think they mean those to be like what we think of as like the 5x5 cutout and concrete sidewalks, because they are surrounded by grass areas. So I think those are supposed to be bioretention areas with trees planted in them, kind of like in the Broadway project.
They didn't be there, so it's some smaller trees then,
Potentially.
if it's like in a.
My question that is not defined by the engineering department of DPI yet is like, if these are bioswale areas, are they designed like how the Broadway ones are, which are effectively concrete holding areas? They're concrete buckets. They can fill up with stormwater. They do not have the ability to then let that stormwater percolate or follow a channel underground to some other storm system. So once they fill up, they just sit there with water. How does that work with the green grass space around it? I have not been given clarity on that. I was also given these
There's
three
no
plans.
detail in the
3
plan
hours.
set.
Sorry, say it
There's
again.
no detail in the plan set.
They don't have details for any of the green infrastructure designs or details on like how the trees will be planted. Just this like broad overview. Tonight's meeting, I don't think, is a final review of the street project, by the way. Yeah, I know.
I mean, so like I'm thinking on the corner there, you've got that little store and there are people constantly stopping and parking there.
Right.
And there's no parking spaces identified.
Yes.
I don't see, I mean, people are gonna park there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, you're basically removing, I mean, they rely on in and out traffic, lunchtime and all that. And that's kind of crazy
Yeah.
to block half of, yeah.
We're gonna keep moving down to keep looking at the tree elements here. So this spot here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees meant to be added between Garden Street and Prince Street, and retaining all the trees that exist. A spot that I want to make a note for and we'll look at on Google Maps is over here at the corner of Foxhall and Garden Street. This area has 4 current trees on it. And I'll go down to this section.
It's well the utilities are.
Yeah, so there's overhead utilities that currently run through these 4 Honey Lucas. They are being retained. Very happy to hear that. Their plans also call out that in that space where those 4 trees are, 2 additional trees would be planted amongst them.
And the thing on the other side where there is no trees and
Right.
no utilities.
Yeah, so no utilities over here, and they are saying that they intend to plant 1 tree right here. I guess underneath these ones, and then 1 tree in the space between the driveway and this tree over here, where there's maybe about 15 feet between the ground and these lowest branches.
Yeah, this, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
And there's nothing like it be awfully close together.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
So
I
on the
mean,
opposite side,
I-
what they decided to do is there is some grass strips where they haven't marked for any trees. There's these larger grass triangle areas where they haven't marked for trees. At I pretty much noticed at all intersections, they have not put any trees. So I am
the
curious.
utilities were going on
Yeah.
which side?
On the
This
other
side.
side.
Where all the trees
Oh, so the utilities are staying on the other side where they're planting the trees.
Yes, that seems to be what they've designed so far.
Did they walk the site?
Yeah, just to get through this last part here, you can see this is where they've added more streets as we go to the right of Garden Street. Seems like there will not be enough time for us to go over all of it, so I'm gonna try to get half of this project done. So we might remember these 2 crabapple trees that there's a lot of back and forth with approvals, denials, and
They're gone.
appeals. Those trees are now gone. So those trees have already been removed and that would not be counted as trees removed in this project. Yeah, and
Now, they were gonna replace those. But that's what the mayor had said.
we, the city, will.
Is that an area where there's new plantings?
Yes, I'm gonna go over to that one. It's just in the corner here, where my mouse is. That's the address for where those 2 crab apples are. So we can see 1 tree, 2 trees for the property next to that one. And I'm gonna go down to the next thing. So this continues. Here, these 2 green dots are where those 2 crab apples were. So this plan say that they are retaining these trees. These trees no longer exist. Yeah. And so that is another thing to check on with this very wide grass planting strip, if there is an intent to put trees
Right
here.
across the street. Gee.
Huge grass area across the
Yeah.
street. Also no trees marked. It may be worth finding out if there is some sort of sightline requirement that the DOT is requiring that is preventing them.
There's plenty,
utilities
there's plenty
on
of
the
space.
Yeah, there is kind of a past design methodology for street trees of not putting them within what was called the safety triangle. That for the most part has been debunked, because if you are regulating speeds down to 25 miles per hour and you're building these much narrower pedestrian crossings, with more stop signs, more traffic calming designs. A tree after the first 3 years is then also going to be taller than the sight of people, unless you're in like a big monster truck or something like that, where the tree is not really more of a sight conflict than other things that are frequently put at intersections,
Right.
such as telephone poles, which are made of trees. So going on from this section over here, I do want to be mindful of time. It's 4:59. Do you want to take like 5 more minutes on this, and maybe we can make it to Flatbush? Again, no trees to be removed here for this section, just trees added. Things kind of are a little bit simpler when we get past this intersection with Tenbrook and Foxhall, where we have wider planting strips, trees in front of some of the homes, granted not at intersections.
Just one quick question with the grass areas.
Yes.
Are they talking like turf grass or are they talking like what they did on Clinton Avenue, which is that high
I haven't been given,
grass, which is, I think, a horrible idea?
yeah, they haven't given me details
Okay.
on that. Only thing I know is dark green areas marked as grass areas. So basically, for their purposes, unpaved areas.
but the Clinton Avenue strips there, they cut them all down.
Yeah, but they're just garbage catchers.
Yeah.
They're really not, in my opinion, they're not an attractive thing. If they're not maintained and they take a lot of maintenance, those grasses turn into, they just take over. I think they're more invasive than anything else at some
I agree with
points because
What species was it?
Little bit,
I'm-
native species.
Yeah.
Problem is it grows to 3 feet tall and this is like a real cultural conflict,
Mm.
with having a grass grow that tall, right at the intersection between the sidewalk and the street where there is often a lot of litter blowing around. And property owners being unclear of, if this is my management responsibility, what am I supposed to do with this? Okay. Yeah, as we go through like Tenbrook and Grand Street, we see that they've added, the utility lines would be on the, upper part of the street where my cursor is. They put trees mostly on the non-utility side. And then I'm gonna jump over to Google Maps to look at that as well.
Nothing on the other side though.
Say that again, Kareem?
Nothing on the other side, just planted on one side, not the other one.
Yeah, so they've only marked for trees to go in on this side, where the utilities are not.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
interesting
why-
because, there are more structures on the side where they're not putting the utilities, so you're gonna have more wires across. Whereas
Yeah, the
if you
service
put
line.
utilities on the side where you have more of the structures, you have fewer lines crossing overhead the street
Yeah,
in the other direction. It's just kind of odd.
yeah, it's, different methodologies on this, and again, I'm only presenting what they've given me. Central Hudson, they do not prune service lines, they only prune the transmission lines.
Right. Which,
And those service lines are much lower voltage and are on insulated wires, whereas the transmission lines are much higher voltage and uninsulated wires. That 10-foot pruning rule is mostly based around those uninsulated wires where, yeah, tree branches contact them and cause sparks and fires.
Yeah, but you have like smaller canopy,
Right.
side on to balance it a little.
Yeah, exactly. So they haven't specified any different sizes of trees, any species of trees. So the white circle only designates a tree. And yeah, they haven't done anything on the sides underneath these power lines.
and are they planning to bring anything to the tree commission?
So realistically, this project is still maybe about a year and a half out. And this is the first public meeting since this project has gotten these latest grant funding sources, such as the GRG, Green Resiliency Grant. This project was first, and it's on the Engage Kingston site, looked at in 2021 as like improving Foxhall and Flatbush kind of thing. The main two things that you can look at if you just go to the Engage Kingston site, I'm not going to do it now for the sake of time, but after some community meetings back in 2021, the two main things that were requested was bicycle infrastructure and street trees. So with that, I want to keep moving to, I'm going to just kind of gradually go through the rest of these spots until we get to Elmendorf Ave, which is where the next trees marked for removal would be. So we're kind of seeing that there's like some difference in planting strip widths, wide planting strip here with no tree in it, trees on the other side being retained. This over here, this is a restaurant and a bar. Gonna go ahead over to that one. These trees that I'm showing on the right are marked for retaining. Some of them are not in great condition. Here is the 4 trees that are currently marked for retaining in those plans. Those trees have some challenging decay going on. They're Norway maples also. Just for, again, sake of time, I'm gonna try to get us to some other things. I will note that, yeah, the current intersection with Cornell Street, South Manor, and Foxhall getting closed off. These do not connect any longer with these plans, and instead this would be a very large green space. Again, they have not marked any
trees.
to be added to it. So we can see more potentially bioswales with trees added to them. And I'm gonna go down here. So this is where Foxhall continues from that intersection. We've got Gage Street and O'Neill.
There's no trees there.
So here, this section, we have very narrow planting strips and no trees to be added. I just want to show what that section looks like. There are a lot of mature trees outside of the public right of way, where they have not marked any of these to be retained. I've also checked these trees out too. This one, for example, this silver maple has a 48-inch diameter trunk to it. Incredibly large tree that's in really good health.
And
So-
they're gonna remove it? I misunderstood.
No,
Retaining everything.
Oh, okay.
But so these areas are the areas that we just looked at over here where there are no trees marked to be added. Where my cursor is, that's where that 48-inch tree that I just showed you was. Keeping going to Elmendorf, and this is where I'm going to end us reviewing. And I intend to send these plans over to you all by email as well. But we're also able to just go next door and look at this stuff too. There's not a presentation going on next door that we're missing right now. They just have these plans out on display for people to look at and potentially talk to engineering about. So Elmendorf will now become closed off from both Flatbush and Foxhall. Both of these trees that are marked are now in their plans for removal. Originally, they intended to retain one of those, so maybe this is another opportunity where they are interested in planting a tree because they intended to retain a tree. To go over what it looks like in Google Maps. When
you say closed off, meaning there's no access.
So right here, this is what
yeah.
that intersection looks
Dead
like.
ends.
It's that horrible intersection.
Yes.
So
Cornell's the same.
this would be closed off. There would no longer be access here, and Elmendorf would get
Well,
around.
you go out to Flatbush, right? Does Flatbush would continue?
Yeah, it can go to the right. Not.
Flatbush continues, but
Thank you. I'll fix that over here. So we'll go back and so cut off over here, and then this is rounded out. So I'm gonna try to go over as our last part to look at these two trees. These are both silver maples that I've also marked their condition as poor. This one over here, this is Midsummer. You can see it's really struggling. This one over here has a lot of damage around the base of the trunk, maybe from a car hitting it in the past, and some decay as well. So they intend to remove both of these trees. And to go back to the design, whole lot of green space. Some potential for trees to be added to these areas. And then I guess like I'm gonna pause here. So they haven't specified what species of trees or what size of trees. What they've said is that it would be 40 trees total being added. We can see that there's some confusing aspects to what their current designs are as far as planting strip widths, where it seems like they are adding trees for these plans. These plans may be outdated compared to what's right next door. Some numbers that I think are worth mentioning for this sort of thing is that again, $4.3 million specifically for green resiliency elements. This street project I mentioned is 1.3 miles. That's 6,800 linear feet of roadway. 40 trees, if it's like shade tree size, in 40 years would probably get to about 40 feet wide. So that's effectively 1,600 linear feet of shade currently in their designs for a $4.3 million project. 1,600 linear feet of shade to a 6,800 linear feet road project. That would also effectively mean shade for, in 40 years from now, 24% of the current roadway area. It would also mean trees, an average of one tree for 34% of the homes on the streets this project occurs. So effectively, 1/3 of the homes would get a tree in front of them, but not the other 2/3.
Yeah,
And that's the data I have to present on the scale of this.
yeah, no, that's great. That's
Yeah.
a great framing.
Yeah.
And I think some of them are like also like under the utilities, so there is no way they're gonna be provided.
Yeah, that's,
Right.
yeah, some of the locations don't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, like you can see
know,
this.
that's why I'm wondering
Yes,
if
yes.
this.
Can we?
Do you want to take a
can't-
final 5 minutes to look at the Flatbush section? It's the last piece that we have to look at. We're already over time, and I don't mind sitting here for a few more minutes if it's okay for everyone else.
Yes,
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to the last Flatbush section. So this is carrying over from Tejan. Sorry, I'm gonna go back over to where Tejan is on this one. So one of the trees that I mentioned in the list that is marked for removal by GPI is listed right here. This is a 18-inch diameter tulip tree that I will give it condition 1, specimen tree, completely high quality tree. They have slated this one for removal.
Is it because it's kind of in the sidewalk area? Is that
Yes.
Well, it's right in the sidewalk
Yeah,
area.
so it's because it's in the sidewalk area, because the sidewalk area is shifting to the left. It's gonna be a little bit hard, but where my cursor is, that's where Tejan is. So now I'm gonna go down to carry on with where Tejan is. So that tulip tree that I mentioned is about right over here. Then we get to the other side of Tejan. There is a quite large, like I wanna say at least 3-foot trunk width red maple right here that has a incredibly large wound on the side of it. I'm gonna try to to show it over on Spockfall, sorry. All right, so here's Tejan. This is the tulip tree that is where they intend to put the sidewalk, and then the planting strip would be to the left of it. As we go down, we can see that there is no change in the straightness of the street.
Is the fence there relative to where the property line is?
I'm not sure.
Because I mean, there's a sidewalk behind it now, so why wouldn't they maintain that location behind the tree?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a question.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of,
I want to go over to this tree they intend to retain. So here's a idea of how large of a wound is on the side of it. A secondary wound. This is because of how close the tree is to the sidewalk. I'm a little bit bummed that there's a car right in the way, and that this one has like some weird glitchy stuff going on for it. Maybe I can go a little bit further down this way and do the zoom in. So you can see all of that area is wounded. This tree they have currently marked for retaining. Yeah. It is a very large tree. And so the last parts to go over for this, so I'm going to show you this is Flatbush going to the railroad crossing. This is also Flatbush going to the railroad crossing. Sidewalk is going in on the upper part of this, the north part. No sidewalk on the south. Very narrow planting strips, no markings for trees. We get across the sidewalk here. We have a wider planting strip. Trees are added to this. 2 trees have been marked for removal. I'm going to show those in a minute in a kind of like a brush line against this area. The project terminates at Colonial Drive for the Colonial Gardens housing development. There are very large mature trees here that are currently being retained, and these are trees marked to be added, I would say probably 20 feet away. So I'm going to go
they're on
over.
private property though.
Yes, they are on private property.
Yeah,
So the The last trees that I have marked and mentioned for removal are these ones in this brush area. Currently, there's no sidewalk over here, so they're being removed. They intend to remove these for the installation of sidewalk. No trees in this stretch. And then when we get to here, where Colonial Drive is, I believe this is Colonial Drive here. Let me double check. I know,
Yes.
I'm looking at Colonial Drive a lot lately. But yeah, so like where these trees are currently, this area is where they also intend to add trees to effectively like right around here, but then nothing extending in this direction back towards the railroad tracks. I'm gonna pull it up one more time for us to look at here.
Would there be any potential for putting some trees under? I know that people don't like. to-
Okay, so these are
Trees
trees
under the
going down to the
utility.
railroad tracks.
Yeah, so
It's beyond the railroad tracks where there's nothing.
yeah, from Tishan to the railroad tracks. Thanks for correcting me, Sue. Yeah, Tishan to the railroad tracks, where
And
there's
the
currently.
utilities are staying on the opposite side, so that's, yeah.
Yeah, so Teddy, to talk
Could you put
about,
some small trees under the utilities?
yes.
I mean, that does seem like a wide enough.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, and it's always pretty beneficial from like an urban heat island reduction aspect to think about this is the south side of the street, this is the north side of the street, so trees on the south side provide much more shade over the paved areas. Again, looking at utility stuff, this thick black line, this is communications line, this is cable, telephone, that sort of thing. Very low voltage, very high insulated. These lines up at the top, they're about 45 feet high. These are the lines that Central Hudson prunes for. There's currently, as best I can find, no state regulations for communications companies to prune trees around these. Granted, even if an insulated line is rubbing on a tree branch over several years, that insulation rubs off, and then there's potential contact. But again, it's low voltage. The disruption of service is not for electricity, it's for telephone, internet, and the lines where it would be, we don't want to disrupt the, human livability need of electricity are 45 feet up. So absolutely, we can plant low canopy trees underneath of it. And there are no markings to do any of that. It could be that they've bumped the pavement edge as far to the right of way as possible. And this area here is the cemetery property.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I can think of is that, it's a cost thing. And so they're trying to put trees where they're actually doing the construction work, which is where the sidewalk is
Yes.
going in. And, certainly it's an opportunity for the tree commission and our planting program to look at these too, and where can we fill in?
Yeah.
With the grants that the city has, where can we fill in,
Yeah.
the holes? And there's a big hole. I think we can take advantage of that. It's a little disappointing to see where sidewalk is going in, no trees being, planted along those areas. I think, the plans certainly can use some for refinement, I'll say, as being nice as I can. I think there's a lot of room for change, given some of the factors that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and some of the, I
I
don't mean to interrupt, Sue, but some of the trees seem like they're like too close to each other. Or too
Yeah.
close to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about retaining trees, but I don't know if this is the final plan. We'll see what's out there, but, I think they need to go out in the field and verify conditions, and I don't know that that has been done. Maybe they used Google Earth, old Google Earth photos to do verification, but they need to go on the ground and look at some of this. If you have large grass areas, I'm not sure why you're putting these bioretention things in, but
Yeah, what I'll mark right here is that these two trees, that is probably 15 feet distance between the two of them. So if they're small ornamental trees, sure, that's compatible. If they're shade trees, they would be 40 feet wide, so 20 feet from either side of the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like what is their attention, what kind of tree.
Yeah.
But you showed a picture of the Colonial Gardens street view
Yeah,
on Google, and it had some, like, 3 trees, and in this map, you indicated they were gonna put more trees on that
Yes.
side of the street where 3 looked like ornamental trees or smaller trees already
Yeah.
existed.
Right, but so in my opinion,
Yeah, right
I would
there.
say, don't plant there because they've got trees on their private property.
Mhm.
And use the plantings where, I wouldn't even put them on the other side. I'd put more down on Flatbush, or I would put more on Foxhall, where
Yeah.
there's huge holes and, and then like the cemetery, because they're not doing any physical improvement on that side, then that's where our funds can come into play and maybe supplement some additional plantings there. Maybe the cemetery doesn't want trees. I don't know.
yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Shall we offer like a committee to kind of help on this project and just like be able to walk the site? I think like, if some volunteers can go walk the site with the engineers and just like figure out what is the intention of the, like, in this way, like we can, we can ask for planting some trees with the funds that we have, or like.
Yeah.
I would invite, after this meeting, why don't you maybe think about inviting the engineer to come to the tree commission meeting and just
Yeah.
talk about the plans and,
Yeah.
I know maybe they're not open to suggestions, but, some good conversation, and asking the questions
Before it's too
to come
late.
to that decision.
Yes.
For today, with the plans and drawings are gonna be made.
Yeah. I mean, it should be about collaborating,
Yeah.
not saying this is what we're doing and
Yeah.
Yeah, so
like it or not.
maybe a good question to answer is like, I think there was a lot more towards the cost of design for a lot of this. Such as like, are they designing the paved areas of the streets to push stormwater towards those retention basins? Is that part of what that green resiliency grant money is going to? They did not provide clarity about this.
It
If
could
we
be
were-
lighting too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of green resiliency funding can be used for more than just trees and greens. I mean, the lighting is another opportunity. So I don't know where the funding is.
It'd be nice to have more
Right.
information, because right now, what the information we've been given is that they intend to plant 40 trees. Some of this appears to use retention basins. Let's say that, it's equal amounts being spent on retention basins and trees. If it's 40 trees for $4.3 million, that would work out to about $100,000 per tree. And this
Since
is,
I'm thinking it's other things, but
Right,
the other thing I'm
exactly. So there's
thinking
other-
is per linear foot, what was the number of trees that went in on Henry? I think there were like 60 trees that went in on Henry. And that's a much shorter distance than this. And that more trees in a shorter distance, and why only 40 here? It just seems like a really low number to me.
Sure, yeah, because it's huge.
yes.
Plus the removal of some existing ones.
And when you look at the street view, you really see open in those areas.
For sure.
Yes. So thank you so much for taking the time to look at all of those. I'm sure you have a really great set of questions that maybe you want to go next door and ask. And I think it's worth seeing how engineering would like to broach a conversation around these design elements that we could really use some clarification on.
So you need a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so 30, do we have a second?
I second.
Yes. And we're adjourning at 5:24 p.m.